11 Alive News at 11 p.m. starts now.
I literally felt like the inside of my body just was like, just at a sag, a slump.
Deontay Williams speaking on a bewildering sequence of events. He was traveling through Tennessee when he was pulled over by law enforcement. It wasn't long before he was arrested and his children were taken away. 11 Alive's Teresa Bowles caught up with Williams tonight, who offers some more turns for this unusual storyline.
Right. Williams feels he was targeted and treated unfairly. Tonight, he's frustrated and calling out the actions of Tennessee officials. It's a story you'll only see on 11 Alive.
It felt like I was dying, honestly, on the inside.
Father of 5, Deontay Williams, says 2 months without his kids felt like an eternity.
I started having anxiety attacks, but I literally felt like the inside of my body just was like, just at a sag, a slump, like my liver, my heart, like I couldn't bring myself to eat.
Williams temporarily lost custody of his children after a traffic stop in Tennessee. He says he and the mother of his children, Bianca Claiborne, were traveling to Chicago. The Coffee County District Attorney says the Highway Patrol stopped them for a dark tint and traveling in the left lane while not actively passing. The trooper reportedly found 5 grams of weed in the vehicle.
The blunt that they arrested me for. But I asked to see the supervisor. Like, let's get some, why am I going to jail? You know what I'm saying? What's this about? Shut up, you're a criminal. They put their hands on me, got rough.
Williams says both he and Claiborne were tested for marijuana. Williams was positive, but Claiborne was not. Williams says the Department of Children's Services bombarded Claiborne's vehicle while she was on her way to bail him out. Williams says they were eventually accused of doing meth and fentanyl.
They did a hair follicle test, came back in 2 minutes. He came back with the paper wrote in. We done took 2 more since then. None of them looked like that. The people seen this and was like, who the hell did this? We don't partake. How is it possible?
This led to the kids being taken away. Williams' youngest is 5 months, the oldest 7.
They held her down and took a newborn baby. They tried to make her pee in a car. You know what I'm saying? It's 4 dudes and 3 men, y'all around the car looking at this black woman pee. I come out, my kid's gone, and we don't hear nothing for 5 days.
Williams says he spent thousands on lawyers and fees, but progress has been made. Last week, a judge released the kids back to Williams, and that led to a big reunion last weekend. Williams feels the actions of Tennessee officials have been unacceptable, but he admits that he's happy things are finally getting back to normal.
I kind of had a feeling like it was going to work out that day. Nobody likes that need to be in a position to break someone's family up. When you're doing it out of evilness, out of racism, you discriminate.
Williams says his next criminal hearing is scheduled for May 23rd. He's also planning to fight this in civil court. I did reach out to Claiborne's sister to get her to comment this week. No word from her.
All right, Teresa, thank you. Today, hundreds of people made the pilgrimage to First Baptist Church of Atlanta off of North Peachtree Road to say farewell to Dr. Charles Stanley. They walked past his coffin as he was lying in repose. Dr. Stanley passed away Tuesday at the age of 90. He had preached all over the country before landing in Atlanta. This was the first of 2 days set aside for tribute to one of the nation's most prominent pastors. Tomorrow there will be a legacy celebration at First Baptist for Dr. Stanley. That is scheduled to begin at 6 p.m. and like today's service, it will be live streamed. And we will have complete coverage for you tomorrow right here on 11 Alive. Other stories we are tracking this Saturday night. A man who previously ran for political office here in Georgia has now been arrested and now facing charges out of Cobb County, including kidnapping. Zephaniah Baker was picked up on a warrant by Muskogee County deputies. We're still awaiting details tied to Baker's charges. He had been on the Georgia ballot a number of times, including 3 separate campaigns for mayor of Columbus. Most recently, Baker ran last month for Georgia's 140th State House district, but he lost in the Democratic primary. He has been booked into the Muskogee County Jail, but there is no word tonight on when he will be extradited to Cobb County. A security guard arrested earlier this week for impersonating a police officer and drug possession at a Metro Atlanta nightclub. These are images released today by Marietta Police showing security officers at the La Ninas Sandtown Road. They show that he had a phony handgun, a baton, and pepper spray. Marietta Police now saying as officers approached the man, they discovered that he was carrying 5 separate bags of cocaine. He is currently being held inside the Cobb County Jail. All new at 11, he is awake and alert. That's the very latest update on Jamie Foxx, coming from a source close to the actor and comedian. People magazine reporting the update, citing an anonymous source. Foxx had been working in Atlanta on his new film. He was last seen filming on April 10th, but the next day he was reported to have been hospitalized for an unknown medical complication. Since then, calls for recovery have come from all over the entertainment world. The People magazine source says that doctors still running tests on Foxx. It's unclear what this complication is right now. You can read more about his recovery over on 11alive.com. Area high school students thinking about joining the U.S. military got an opportunity today to get the questions answered straight from the source. It was Academy Day at Dobbins Air Reserve Base in Marietta. Students preparing to graduate from high school had the opportunity to learn more about the application and congressional nomination process for the nation's service academies. Georgia Senator Jon Ossoff says the event served to inspire young people into joining the armed forces and help them better themselves and set them up to become future leaders.
Young people who have joined us here today are interested in answering the call of service and of taking responsibility for obligations they have to the nation, responsibility for obligations they wish to take on as leaders of teammates who will help to protect this nation.
Along with Senator Ossoff, members of the U.S. House from both sides of the aisle were part of the congressional delegation that came out. Lucy McBath, the congresswoman, also in attendance, as you can see. One of the aspects of Earth Day is looking at ways to recycle. That goes for any of those old electronics that are hiding out in your home. Today, 11 Alive help get you rid of any of the out-of-date technology. With more, here's Bobeth Yates.
Well, electronic waste has become one of the leading environmental concerns because as technology increases, equipment and television and computers like these behind me become obsolete, adding to the landfill problem.
We're encouraging people to come out and bring all those old electronics that they don't need and just kind of have lying around their house to recycle responsibly.
Lindsay Jones with Lenox Square is talking about their annual electronic recycling event, done in partnership with 11 Alive, Georgia Natural Gas, and E-Waste.
Larger, heavier items that will go sit in landfills and won't break down in time are electronics. These big old hunks of metal stay around for a long time.
According to the EPA in 2019, the United States generated 6.92 million tons of electronic waste. That's about 46 pounds per person. Only 15% of that material was recycled. And residents like Philip Owens were among those who came out to the donation to make sure they're not contributing to the problem.
You got to do the right thing. You got to give somebody else, like those laptops I brought, an opportunity to use them because they're obsolete to me, so I decided to let someone else, if they could recycle it and benefit from it.
And even 11 Alive donated a truckload of old equipment.
Waste. I mean, think these electronics would go in the landfills. So, you know, it's really us giving back to the earth and really being part of this bigger sustainability picture here in Atlanta.
Officials say their goal was to collect about 20,000 tons of electronic waste, and based on what we've seen behind us, they're well on their way to meeting that goal. Bobeth Yates, 11 Alive News.
Earth Day 2023 also came with a sampling. A few beers over at Atlanta's Sweetwater Brewing Company. This weekend is their annual 420 Fest, but along with the sampling of IPAs and lagers came a question and answer session on polyfluorinated substances, or PFAs for short. The forever chemicals have been linked to cancer and organ failure in the waterways across the country, including the Chattahoochee River.
The solution is these chemicals should be banned, and in a nutshell, that's why everybody should be concerned about PFAS, because regardless, they impact you in one way or another.
If you missed out today, Sweetwater 420 Fest continues tomorrow with their very fine products.
And we had a breezy day here all across North Georgia, with those temperatures only rising into the lower 70s. We make our way throughout tomorrow. Another cool day. Is this trend going to continue all week? We'll talk about that coming up.